So I guess first what I'll start with, Nate, is obviously low curve for the modern deck.
Yeah.
What does the curve look like, and does curve matter in this current standard when talking about this type of combo deck?
I don't think the curve matters as much as general efficiency. If you curved it out and put all of your 1-drops and 2-drops, 3-drops, 4-drops, etc., you'd have a decent curve, but your 1-drops are going to be Galvanic Bombardment or Shock or Dispel,
right?
Which aren't really turn 1 plays,
sure,
so to speak. You also look at something like Anticipate, which can be a turn 2 play if you don't have anything else to do, which you probably don't.
Yeah.
And same like Spell Queller. So you can play a very draw-go type game and play very much at instant speed, even if your spells aren't actually instants. Spell Queller is flash. Torrential Gear Hulk is flash. Most of the removal is going to be flash, except for maybe Radiant Flames. The only problem with that is your combo is sorcery speed.
Sure, and also your, if we're going back to the mirror here, your Electrolyze being Radiant Flames, as you suggested, is sorcery speed as well. So if Electrolyze does 2 damage, I'm looking at it here, 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 creatures. So you can take out 1x2, or you can take out 2x1s.
Right.
But you're drawing a card. We don't have anything equivalent to that, do we?
No.
I mean, I think we have like Royal Spout. Or what was that card from Zendikar? It was a white, a blue, and a generic, I think.
It could bounce a creature to the top of your opponent's library.
And you drew a card off of it. It's just why I'm saying it. There was one like that. Anyway, we'll look it up. But we're looking for hard removal regardless.
Yes.
Right.
So this is a format that you're going to need to actually get rid of things. It sounds weird, but just time walking your opponent isn't necessarily going to get it done.
So efficiency is important.
Yeah.
Not necessarily hitting your curve.
Right.
If we're going to play a control style format, are vehicles going to get around Radiant Flames? Because right now we're prognosticating. Where we sit now, the Pro Tour hasn't happened.
Right. The first week of Standard hasn't happened.
First week of Standard
Everybody's guessing.
So, I mean, Copter's gone.
Right.
Main engine offline. Heart of Curon. You've got the Aether Harvester.
Aether Sphere Harvester.
Aether Sphere Harvester, which could be a decent replacement. It meddles with energy, so it's that Bristling Hydra energy deck is gonna want to use it. Now they're hexproof lifelink.
Yep.
Like Radiant Flames doesn't hit Hydra because in response to it they 3 energy. It's a 4 butt now. So my question is, and I know yesterday we were talking about Fumigate.
Yeah.
But do we immediately just say Fumigate or Consulate Crackdown in the sideboard, and we focus more on stalling hitting combo as opposed... Because Electrolyze, if we're going for that as the parallel, seems to me as just sort of minimalizing a go-wide strategy for your opponent as opposed to... standard control board wipe.
Right.
So, is that a card that we can just kind of say says draw a card and does marginal damage? Because even if they don't kill the creature, they still have a legal target. They have a legal target, they still draw a card.
Right.
In the end, it facilitates the combo more than it does...
Yeah, and the main reason that Splinter Twin and Modern didn't run actual board wipes is because ultimately there were games where they had 2 Snapcaster Mages and a Vendilion Click.
Right.
So a board wipe would wipe them out as well.
Right.
Which, granted, we also have those, but if you're running Radiant Flames, our creatures are Torrential Gear Hulk and Felidar Guardian. A Radiant Flame for 3 is going to leave both of those on the battlefield.
On the board, sure. But
even if we just play the Felidar Guardian for value early or something like that.
Sure, yeah, but our Snapcaster Mage, Torrential Gear Hulk, can't get back a Radiant Flame.
It cannot.
Which I think, again, that draw card caveat on Electrolyze.
It's very good. And a lot of the reason why it was in the deck and why it still sees play in Modern.
Right. So is that something maybe that, even though we're drawing the parallel...
Right.
That
it's not exactly the same.
Right, and it's not necessary. Like, if Electrolyze was in the deck and didn't say draw a card, even we would go, why? Like, what are you scared of? We got a combo off here, so... They're running... where is it? 1 Dispel, 2 spell snares, and 4 remand. That's 8.
And 2 cryptic commands.
And the 2 cryptic commands. Yeah. So they're running 10 slots for some form of counterspell. I'll call it 8.
9.
Is it 9? Oh, because it's 1
spell, 2 spell snares, 4 remands, 2 cryptic commands.
Okay.
And they run. So I've seen the modern twin decks run somewhere between 8 to 10 counterspells. 8 to count,
yeah,
basically.
And cryptic command really being that modular.
Right. It's not always a counterspell. Sometimes you just bounce their dude and draw a card. Is very good.
Sure. If we're looking at 8, what are you thinking by way of that? And basically, what I want to talk about is what disrupts our combo in Standard. So and last night we kind of talked about it.
We did. The main things that disrupt it are anything that can deal 1 damage in instant speed. Because Saheeli Rai comes in with 3 counters and you have to
deals 1 damage to a player that can be redirected to a planeswalker
or
a planeswalker
or
directly.
Just directly to a planeswalker. So that can definitely disrupt it because Saheeli Rai goes down to 1 loyalty before you can flicker with Felidar Guardian.
Right.
If they kill her while the ability is on the stack, the entire combo fizzles.
Right.
Any generic instant speed creature removal, murder, unlicensed disintegration, stasis snare. If they can get rid of the Felidar Guardian before you're able to copy it, that's also going to be a problem. So instant speed interaction is the main problem.
And we have a pretty decent
Dispel.
Pardon, Dispel, right.
Basically everything that I said with the exception of Stasis Snare can get stopped for 1 blue mana.
Right. For the low price of 1 blue mana. Alright, so Dispel stops that. So if we're looking at like 8 to 10.
Right.
Where do you think we lie in the other 4? And the better question is, do you think decks are even going to worry about this in the main board, or do the remainder of our counter spells lie outside? Or are we running counters because we're in that control shell, so we have to build a stout control shell first?
You're running counters anyways, and you want counters that are going to get rid of most threats, even if they're not interrupting the combo. If they're just something that's going to beat you, you're going to want counters that are going to beat that. So I would shy away from running a playset of Dispel's main board.
Right.
I definitely want access to 4 in the 75.
In the 75, yeah.
But I would shy away from 4 main deck.
Okay.
I would run negates, hit pretty much anything that you're worried about. Obviously, it's non-creature, but if we're running vehicles, it hits vehicles. It hits Gideon, it hits Stasis Snare, it hits so many different spells that can beat you as well as disrupt your combo. It's less efficient. It's 2 mana, not 1 mana, but it can do the job. It's the backbone of our control deck, along with Void Shatter.
But I think I can't recall the deck. We're running 2 Void Shatter main board, 3 negate.
I believe so.
And then we have access to 1 Void Shatter in the sideboard. Void Shatter is basically like the. I don't want to use it on turn 3, but if I have to, so like curling into it is important. But really disrupting your best play,
right?
And then in the counter match, in the mirror match becomes a lot better because having access to that, because exiling their instance when they can play a Gear Hulk is good. So where do you think Void Shatter might fall in just in the 75?
Disallow is probably just going to be better. Just because it does the same thing. It doesn't exile, but you get the ability to fizzle a Planeswalker ultimate if you're not able to take care of the Planeswalker. You can fizzle an activation of Ormondal, which I think Ormondal is going to be a much bigger part of the metagame with Emrakul gone.
Sure.
There's nothing really to fight it.
Sure.
So it can fizzle that activated ability. You can stop an Aetherworks Marvel activation if that is a big thing. Make them spend their energy if you're not able to take care of the Marvel.
Does Disallow do anything for Eldrazi cast triggers?
Yes, you can cast it. You can counter the cast trigger, or you can counter the actual creature. Okay. I would imagine some number of summary dismissals could be in the 75.
Right.
If Ulamog is a thing, either out of Aetherworks Marvel, or I saw Michael Majors piloting a ramp deck with the 3-mana artifact that gives all your non-creature spells improvise, being able to play a bunch of artifacts and cast Ulamog from your hand on about turn 5. if that's a thing, then having summary dismissal is going to be big. And something like maybe disallow is fine, but I want access to some number of summon dismissal.
Yeah, I think one of the things I saw or talked to in our meta was people running Eldrazi. I was running that Grixis burn something
discard madness.
Yeah, madness.
Fever vision.
Sure, yeah, it's just damage from everywhere except for combat, basically, unless you land a Bedlam Reveler. But I'm not running Lightning Axe. Everybody's like, you should be running Lightning Axe, and I was like,
you should probably be running.
Well, of course I should. You know, I always leave out good cards. Like, I'm the jank Brew, but I saw I was 0-2 as I should have been, and I went to round 3 and I got smashed in the face by a Reality Smasher because I couldn't deal 5 damage quick enough, and then round 4. And smashed in the face by a Reality Smasher. And I thought to myself, where are all these Eldrazi coming from? Well, with Emrakul gone, people go back to, well, what was the broken thing before Emrakul? It was Ulamog, which then leads you to World Breakers, and then everybody always settles on the Thought-Knot Seer Reality Smasher.
Yep. Hey, it's good enough for Vintage. It's got to be decent standard, right?
Yeah, well, we don't have Ivugin, but still.
Or Ancient Tomb, or
sure, yes,
any of those.
Eldrazi Mimic, term 0.
Yeah.
For 7, I don't know what they did. I can't get into those formats. Anyway, hate me all you want. I'm a standard junkie. All right, so we've arrived at, and I think this is good. It's probably where we should have come to. 4 dispels in the 75.
Right.
Some number of negates, which I totally agree with, especially vehicles. Disallow for all the things that you said, and then summary dismissal just to make sure that we can deal with Ulamog being cast, which is, I think, fine. There's still going to be some Etheric Marvel decks.
Yeah.
That, Etheric Marvel basically is going to become either a fair game, where they're using it as slight card advantage, or they're just going to sell out on Ulamog.
Yeah, I think they pretty much have to sell on Ulamog now. They were playing 4 Ulamogs and 4 Emrakuls when they were trying to sell out before. The main problem is Ulamogs get stuck in their hand,
right?
Which is why they switched to 4 Emrakuls and 4 Ishkanahs, maybe 1 or 2 Ulamogs, because they built a Delirium Shell and they were able to cast Ulamog if they needed to. So I think without Emrakul, the fair game doesn't really exist anymore. When the best fair game you can play is Ishkanah, it's not great. So I think it's going to have to be more sellout. The good news for that is without Reflector Mage, without Spell Queller, or without Smuggler's Copter, the one deck that beat the sellout was Blue-White Flash. And if that deck is gone, then maybe you can still try and sell out.
Okay.